Hello, my name is Fred Dixon, and I want to welcome you to the Walk with Fred show. We've got a couple of videos today, some hiking videos, and I have a special guest, Bill Manning. He is the managing director of the Colorado Trail. So we'll talk with him after this first video. This is actually the first part of segment 1 of the Colorado Trail. It's actually the reroute section because the Waterton Canyon part is closed. They're working on the dam. So this is actually the reroute that will take you to the Colorado Trail. So here we go. Without further ado, our first video. Alrighty, well, here we are at the Indian Creek Campground. We're going to do the first half of the segment 1 of the Colorado Trail. This is because of the Waterton closure, and cool, it's actually signed. Alright, if you've done any hikes with me, you know I'm always looking for the porta potty. And here's where the trail looks like it branches off to the right. Alright, well, we're in about a half a mile or so, and I see we're on our first stream crossing. And away we go. So that little trickle of a stream, which is Bear Creek, actually turns into a creek. And here we are at our second crossing. Part of what the Colorado Trail, some of the trail crew do first thing, as soon as there's a little clearing of snow and it's opportune time to go in, is they go in and they trim the fallen trees from the trail. Well, so far the trail has been really basically flat. This kind of meanders along the creek. Been walking for about 45 minutes, and as you can hear from my voice, we're starting to go uphill. Okay, well, we're, as the sign says, it's 2 miles. So we've come in for 2 miles, and we are at a junction here. We're at Stevens Gulch and the Indian Creek Trail. So at this point, I don't see a sign that says the Colorado Trail, but since we've come up on the Indian Creek Trail, I'm gonna take it up. And while hiking through the trees and along the creek is really nice. It's nice to actually get a view of some sort. See a little lake off in the distance there. Not sure if that's the dam or not. And then so once you kind of go up over the top, you walk along the ridge for just a little bit. The trail jumps back down the hill, back down through all the trees again. Nice and cool. Alright, and we're coming up onto another junction here. take a little look, see what the signs say. And here's what we're looking for. Colorado Trail 1776. Here is Lenny's Rest, right through this thing here. Alright, well this is the trail you would normally come up, but of course it's closed. And then when you come up, you'll come here. And then here we are, we're at Lenny's Rest. And of course this is just where we came from. Alrighty, well, that is the hike. It's about 4 miles from the trailhead up here to Lenny's Rest. I think it's a great walk. I really enjoyed it. It's got a little up, a little down. It is $5 to park at the trailhead, but I think it's money well spent, $5. And it was about 40 minutes to get here from downtown Denver to the trailhead, so that's not bad either. So, yep, I highly recommend the hike, and I hope you try it. Hope you enjoy it. All right, cheers. Okay, well, that was the Colorado Trail, and I'm here with my guest, Bill Manning. He is the managing director of the Colorado Trail. Thank you, Bill, for coming today.
Thank you, Fred.
All right. Well, I wanted to ask, so what is the Colorado Trail, Bill?
The Colorado Trail is one of America's premier long-distance trails, and it travels 500 miles between Denver and Durango across the Rocky Mountains. It was built by volunteers, and it was built to be family-friendly, or as good as they could do, given that it crosses the Rockies. It's a beautiful path, mostly a dirt path, and it is enjoyed by hikers, bicycle riders, and horseback riders. And it just makes me smile just thinking about it. It is so much fun out there, crossing the Rocky Mountains.
So tell me, Bill, how was the Colorado Trail actually built?
Volunteers built the Colorado Trail, and they continue to maintain it. They assemble every summer. About 700 people help every summer, and they cut the trees that fall over, and they divert the rainwater that washes the trail away if we don't work on it. And it's a labor of love, and yet it's a whole lot of fun. Each time these volunteers get together on trail crews or with their adoptions, they have a great time out there, and the Colorado Trail Foundation organizes all of this.
So I know you have a website. How do we find out more information on how to volunteer? And then there are actually 2 types of volunteers, aren't there? Ones that take segments. Explain the volunteers for us.
Our website is coloradotrail.org, and there's a lot of good information on there, including about volunteering. And one of the primary ways people help, and they volunteer, is on a trail crew, either a weekend or a week-long effort, camping in the Rockies, get together and work on a targeted piece of the Colorado Trail. They get, the volunteers get together and work on a special section of the Colorado Trail that is in need of improvement, and they camp together, work each day, eat together at night, and tell stories to one another, make new friends. It's really a blast. The other type of volunteer we have are adopters, and currently there are 64 adopters, and each one takes the responsibility for a short section, a relatively short, maybe 8-10 miles, and they try to get there as soon as the snow melts every spring and cut the trees that have fallen over and divert or clean each of the water diversions so that the trail doesn't erode.
So I know that's tons of volunteers. I think you only have like 2 full-time staff. I've been to your office. It's rather small. So how do you fund the Colorado Trail Foundation? How do you get your money?
Almost all of our funding comes from private donations, and mostly in modest amounts, $50, $100, sometimes annually. People in great numbers help us with this funding to keep this effort going. They use the trail, enjoy it, and want to keep it well maintained. We also get a little bit of money from corporate contributions as well as some grants, and that's how we keep this effort going. You know, the Colorado Trail was built by volunteers in the 70s and 80s, and we have been maintaining it ever since and improving upon it with the help of about 700 volunteers every year. It's just a tremendous effort. It's a real testament to what volunteers can do.
Well, I've hiked the trail many times, not all the way through. I just hiked little pieces here and there, and I highly recommend it. It's not very far outside of Denver. It's definitely something you can do during a day hike. You can definitely camp along the way. You could do a 1-day, 2-day, 3-day. There's a lot of variety. It's a very long trail, and I'm sure you'll have a good time. So I want to thank you, Bill. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Fred.
All right, and hope to see you on the trail, man.
Excellent.
Take care.
See you out there.
Thanks. I'm in Boulder today. I'm here visiting with my friends Robin and Morgan. They thru-hiked the Colorado Trail in 2009. So why did you guys choose to hike the Colorado Trail?
We were moving from Arizona to Colorado in the summer of 2009, and we figured a great way to see our new home state would be to walk across part of it.
We're both school teachers, and so we have the whole summers off, and so we thought the ideal way to spend our summer would be to do some hiking.
How long had you been planning the trip?
We had been planning the hike for about 3 months, but we spent only about 3 to 4 weeks really putting it together before we left.
How long have you guys been hiking?
Well, we've both done a lot of backpacking in the past and hiking for the past 15 years for me, and for Robin about the past 7 or 8 years. So quite a bit of experience in the backcountry, both hiking and backpacking.
How much money did you guys spend for the hike?
We estimate we spent about $1,500 on the hike. We finished the trail in 25 days, and buying all of our food ahead of time, sending it to various post offices, stopping at hotels along the way, eating out when we came to towns, probably amounted to about $1,500. But we had all our own gear ahead of time, so we didn't really have to buy much. So that might be a factor for people budgeting for the trip as well.
So what is the best part of the Colorado Trail for you?
My favorite part of the Colorado Trail was when we were in the San Juan Mountains, hiking towards Silverton, and then hiking from Silverton to Durango. The mountains there are really rugged, and the terrain is really beautiful, lots of wildflowers and beautiful river crossings. So that was probably my highlight of the whole trip. What about yours, Morgan?
Oh, the highlight of the trip for me was also the San Juan Mountains and going through the La Garita Wilderness and the Weminuche Wilderness, just up above 12,000 feet. Didn't see trees for days at a time, or at least didn't walk through trees, and had a really good time. Lots of wildflowers in that area too. It was a really neat experience.
Robin, can you tell us about feet and shoes?
So I had some interesting feet issues. Both Morgan and I wore some running shoes instead of hiking boots, and we felt that was better for us because that's what we hike in here normally, and so we thought keep it the same for when we go on the trail. They're also really breathable and very lightweight. So that was helpful. But what I didn't think about was some of the cushioning aspect. And I developed very good friends, and I called my feet Nigel and Fred. And that really helped me disassociate myself from the pain of the feet. And when I got into town, the first thing I bought was some really good inner soles. So I would definitely recommend that for any through hikers. Just have really good cushioning on your feet. Some good inner soles would be definitely ideal. You don't have to go with some big hiking boots, but definitely cushioning on inner soles would be helpful.
So what would be your best advice for would-be through hikers?
Well, I think my best advice for through hikers would be to go really simple. Morgan and I both can't eat wheat and we can't eat dairy, so we had to go really simple with our food. Just eating rice and beans was the most efficient way for us to eat, and Cliff Bars and gummy worms and things like that. So keep it simple and also keep it really light, and Morgan can talk a little bit about keeping it really light.
Some of my advice for through hikers of the Colorado Trail would be to plan ahead of time, figure out what you want to do based on what you've done in the past, and don't be unrealistic with your expectations. Then when you get out on the trail, be flexible with the plan that you have made, because things will change while you're out there. Travel light, carry gear that will serve multiple purposes, so you can keep your pack weight down, and it'll make it a more enjoyable experience, as well as increasing your chances of being as successful in through hiking in one go.
Do you need any special permits for the Colorado Trail?
One of the great parts about the Colorado Trail is the lack of permits that you have to get. There are no major permitting issues that you have to go through when you enter wilderness areas. You just self-register at a little box and get a tag that you put in your backpack. But unlike going into big national parks where you have to get permits to camp in the backcountry, there is none of that on the Colorado Trail.
So check out their blog at mwilks.blogspot.com. There's a ton of information on their site, and I love to just watch it and read, and it makes me feel like I'm right there on the Colorado Trail with them. Go ahead and check it out. It's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it. Next up is a great walk. It's in Denver's City Park. It's the Mile High Loop. Go ahead and try it. So here's the map of the City Park Mile High Loop. I always stop for a minute and check out this little island by the zoo. Has all these great birds. And actually, if you come in the morning, you don't have to listen to the sound of the construction. You can actually hear the birds. They're really fun to watch as they build their nests. And if you sit still long enough, you can watch them, you know, kind of get into the habit. You see they pick up a stick, they fly around to get some altitude going, and they end up in the tree. So we're over here down by the tennis courts, and the nice thing about walking in City Park is there are restrooms. They're seasonal, so they're only open in the summer kind of time. But here by the tennis courts, there's actually one that's open pretty much year-round. If not, they put in a porta potty. This is the intersection at York and 23rd. it's nice. The trail just kind of weaves through the city park. So you face different directions. Sometimes you're facing north, sometimes you're facing west. It just kind of helps keep it mixed up and interesting. So the path does cross the road a little bit, but the signs are so obvious. If you get lost here, you might not want to go out into the backcountry. Some of our lottery money being spent well. So I guess there's a little wildlife to see. No, actually there's more wildlife than squirrels and ducks and pigeons. You gotta kind of keep your eyes open. And so the other corner of the park is actually at Colorado and 17th. It's kind of the other far end. So this view on a clear sunny day is drop dead fabulous. We've got a lot of little forest fires going on back there. That's why it's kind of smoky. But over here by the museum, looking west, awesome. Okay, well, this is where I get off the trail. It's nice because it's a loop. It's 3.6 miles, 6 kilometers. It's nice also because you could do it twice and just kind of double your distance. So you can walk around or hike, trek, whatever you want to call it. You don't necessarily have to go to the mountains. Although ultimately that's why we come to the parks and do our walking, so that when we do go to the mountains, we've got some strength and endurance, and we're used to putting in, should probably get used to doing about 6 to 10 miles. It'd be a nice hiking day. Take care. We'll see you soon. Well, okay, it's May, and of course we're going to talk about rain just a little bit. Walking in the rain can actually be fun if you're ready for it. So one of the things I like to do is in my backpack, I always line it with a plastic bag. That always comes in handy. And then of course, you know, within the plastic bag, I like to keep the essentials, you know, TP and socks. It's always nice to have clean, dry socks at the end of the day, so that's always good to do. The other things might be, if it's a light rain, go ahead and just keep on walking nice and slow as long as you're dressed right. But if it becomes a heavy rain, then you probably want to look for some shelter and just kind of wait it out. Shouldn't be too long, maybe even like an hour or so, but it's worth not getting drenched. I always keep a poncho in my backpack. I just always keep it there. That way I always have it. And probably the last kind of good tip about rain is when you get home, go ahead and jump in the shower and warm your body temperature up. and should be good to go. So some of my best walks and bicycle rides have been in the rain. I've been prepared for them, and been very enjoyable, very quiet, you know. So that's the show, and I want to thank you for watching, and hope to see you for the next show.